Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms here in the mountains of North Carolina, and tonight I'll be showing you my pirate radio station. I've had a lot of requests over the last year or so, ever since I mentioned it. Actually, I'd say 2 years back, since I first mentioned that I run one. People wanted to know what I'm talking about when I have a pirate radio station. Now, a few months back, I did a review of the Panasonic CF29 ruggedized or toughbook laptop. This is an older laptop running Windows XP. The reason I have it is specifically to run, well, three things really. It runs my radio station. It also runs an old school DOS-based BBS, which I'll get into in another video, which is another form of communication. And it runs a server that allows people to log on to my radio station over the internet via Shoutcast. And this is pretty old technology all the way around, but it works. And so tonight we'll be talking, we've already covered the laptop in general and the software that I use on that, but I've had a lot of requests on my pirate radio station. Now, I set this thing up, my first pirate radio station was actually a Ramsey AM1, which is just like this one right here that I picked up at a flea market not long ago. Actually, the Hamfest. I got this for $1, and it needs work. I haven't even opened it yet, but it does, it's not working. I'll just put it like that. So I have to figure out what frequency it has, what chip is in there, and I'll have to do some work, get that working again. But I hope to get it working soon, because what I'm using and what I have been using since roughly about the year 2000 is this, and I'll just lean it up here, and that is here's a close-up of it. This is a Hamilton Rangemaster. Now this is an FCC approved Part 15 AM transmitter, and it's operating at a very low output, but that's how you remain legal. And I've had this thing in operation on and off since the year, I'd say like 99, 2000, somewhere right around there. And it operates on 1670. The name of my radio station is 1670 Wasted Radio. Here's a picture that we came up with years ago. Right? So that's the main unit. Now the reason that I haven't made a video of this sooner is this box actually sits, I have to get a ladder out, it actually sits right at the roof line of this garage. And the reasons for that are you have some limitations on antenna length and distance, and depending on how you read the FCC rules, the cabling that goes to the antenna is also considered part of the antenna. So there's a lot of legalese involved there to make this legal. Now I doubt that I would have any problems up here, because the effective range of this is about a mile to 2 miles depending on weather conditions. I'm probably a quarter mile to the nearest house from here, so I highly doubt that I'm interfering with anybody's radio, but just in case, I try my hardest to stay legal. So I have a very short lead that goes from this Hamilton Rangemaster to a 4-foot fire stick up above, and that's actually changing because now I have the Antron that I'm not using for CB, and I'm going to be using it for various other projects, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the Antron when I'm not using it for other purposes. So that'll be changing. But the reason that I ended up taking this thing down is that sadly, after all these years, the old Rangemaster seems to have some issues. I'm still getting audio out, I'm still getting a carrier signal, but I'm getting a ton of buzz. I'm getting this, you know, it almost like a light is on, a fluorescent light is on. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I've taken it down. I intend to take it out of this protective box and see if I can figure out what the problem is. And if not, it'll be finally time to replace it. But I have to say, for, you know, let's say 18 years worth of use out of it, I think I got my money's worth. There are other ones out there. You know, you have the Talking House. Those boxes used to be $700 or $800. They can usually be had for $40 or $50. Unfortunately, Ramsey is out of business, or at least they're not making kits anymore. But you can still find unbuilt kits or built kits on eBay, and they're also Part 15 approved. So there's a variety of different manufacturers. The Hamilton Rangemaster being one of the more high-end, more professional. So these things are able to be linked together. So if you wanted to cover a small city, theoretically you could buy 15 or 20 of these and link them all together around the city to create coverage without blackouts. So that's kind of cool. Again, if you want more information on how that all works, I just Google Rangemaster and go from there. Now, but back to my system, you'll notice this is pretty old school, but old school doesn't mean not working. So what I used here, and again, money was always tight, but I had this Radio Shack video enhancer stereo audio mixer, right? And what it was made for was taking 2 or more VCR video decks, right? You take a VCR, you plug it in your input, and you'd have a master output. But you could add voiceover, or you could add a soundtrack, And then you also had, it actually had a gain for the video, so you could, if you hooked through video through there and video out, you could adjust. Basically, it was it's gain for like contrast and stuff. I don't remember where I came across it. I probably picked it up for some project along the way that I've long since forgotten. But it turns out that it makes for an excellent audio mixing board because it doesn't care if it's video or audio that's going through any of these. So my master out, I have, and it rolls through here, through into the left and right channel. Even though the range master is mono, it accepts a left and a right input. So I have my master volume control here, which I can control to make sure that my signal's not too hot. And then I've got my mic, which is here. I don't know if you can see it very well in the picture. This is about as low as it'll go, but I have this boom mic here that's adjustable, and I use that when we have more than one person doing the show. In my last house, when we used to have people come over and we used to take calls, we were much more into this when we were younger. That was quite popular. Nowadays, if I do it, I'm usually not taking calls, so I'll just use something like this. This has earphones and mics built in. Very inexpensive. It's probably for a PlayStation or something like that, but it works great for this. So you put your mic and your phone mic there, and again, here's your mic gain, so I can adjust my voice level, and now I can monitor how loud or how distorted things are through the master if I have earphones in, so that's cool. And then over here, I've got my DJ, my music box, or whatever you want to call it. This is where I'm getting all my files, and I use Winamp, and I also have the Shoutcast plugin for Winamp. So when I'm transmitting, which is pretty much 24/7, it's also going to a Shoutcast server based off of this, and I can have about 25. Sometimes, if I up the bandwidth, I could probably have closer to 50 people simulcasting, and they could all listen to this at the same time, which is kind of cool. So most of the time these days I'm playing old Art Bell, Coast to Coast, stuff like that. Right now I've got a couple of Heather Wade's Midnight in the Desert reruns playing. But then I have my old regular shows, the shows that I've recorded over the years mixed in along with it, so that's kind of cool to have. And but you can play music, you can do whatever you want. The nice thing about a Part 15 radio station is because it's still radio, you're allowed to broadcast any music you want to. There's no copyright violations involved. Unlike broadcasting on YouTube or broadcasting, say, I think they're out of business now, but Live 365 or Blog Talk Radio, another program that I used back in the day. Those all had, different copyright rules because they're internet-based, not radio-based. But because this is literally a radio station, the old rules apply. So, that's kind of nice. But again, the programs I'm using here, if I have people over to do recording sessions, which again has been probably 2 or 3 years now since that's happened, I use Audacity. I can log in with Audacity, and I get another computer that I sit alongside of it, and it becomes the master record. So I'll have music coming in through here, I'll have audio coming in through here with 2 mics, I'll have maybe bumper music and so on and so forth. I record it to Audacity to keep the show through all those tracks, and then it pipes back out into the radio and then over the air. So that's how it works. Now, as far as antennas go, the Rangemaster and probably the Ramsey, all these Part 15s, you don't have to worry about SWRs the way you would, say, with a CB or a ham radio. You're talking such a low output, it's very hard to get these babies hot. But this Rangemaster does have the ability to kind of do an antenna tune on it, so that's set up that way. And yeah, that's about it, really. So this is it. People have been asking for a long time. It looks like this is it. It's been online for 18 years, and I have a feeling I won't be getting a chance to look at it today to figure out what went wrong, other than taking it down and making this video. But it may be, after all these years, just better opportunity for me to go ahead and get something different or upgrade. Most people are on FM now. I've always been partial to AM. That's just kind of where I feel like I need to be with the kind of stuff that I play. But if you're interested in FM transmitters, there's a ton of them. And if you're interested in maybe breaking the law, there's a lot of FM transmitters out there from China that do 5 to 7, some even do 12 watts. Now, granted, that is totally against FCC rules. That is not a Part 15 radio, but I know there are a lot of YouTube videos, people who have hooked these things up with a short antenna, and they're getting 7 to 10 miles in range, which is pretty impressive. But you're also opening yourself up to massive fines. So be aware that if you decide to go for a non-quoted pirate radio station, you're likely to get a visit from the FCC at some point in your life, and it's not likely to be an inexpensive visit. So I'm not advocating for that at all, but I do want you to be aware that there are other options. So if you're living in another country where the rules are different, there's an option for you there as well. So if you have any questions about my little pirate radio station, yeah, feel free to drop me a line, and if you're interested in hearing it, it's out there. I'm not going to give you the link to my Shoutcast link because it's just so few slots available. I do listen to it sometimes at work, but it's playing. The whole universe is out there to hear it, and up until this week, that's been broadcasting to the universe. So I'm Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms. I'll turn the volume up a little bit, and maybe we'll listen to it for a second or two as we fade out into the darkness. Next time we talk about this setup, it'll be to discuss my BBS, which is, again, a DOS-based BBS called The Midnight Cafe, which is also the name of my show that I do here from the radio station over the years. And my co-host, Rockin Woodie, no longer lives anywhere near me, but we do online stuff occasionally. In fact, we're trying to figure out a way to do our show over YouTube with a split screen and allow call-ins and stuff like that. So maybe we'll move into the 21st century eventually. But for tonight, that's it.
Like that.
Enjoy.
Farms, owner of 1670 Wasted Radio, and owner of the Midnight Cafe. It's going to be an interesting evening. It's our first show live. We are simulcasting on YouTube. We are simulcasting on Shoutcast. We are simulcasting over the air on 1670 AM here in the mountains of North Carolina. And we're even on Blog Talk Radio. We'll have live call-in later on today. But first, let's get to some news, and we'll go from there. The Winter Olympics wrapped up this week, and the Russian embassy in South Korea was bombarded with...
There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms. Freedom is mighty sweet.